have Coach Steve Carson on the phone.
Oh, Coach Steve Carson.
Eagleville Eagles.
Oh, of Eagleville
fame. Isn't he the one that was whining about his schedule last year?
I'm not going to say that. Coach, you with us?
Yes, sir.
Coach, how you doing? We love you here at the Big Duck.
Well, hey, at least I'm getting some love somewhere. I'll take it where I can get it.
Coach, you guys had that rough start last season. I think you dropped 4 of the first 6 before you got on that big run. It ended in the quarterfinals. I think that was 2 years in a row, I believe it was, that Gordonsville got you guys in the quarterfinals. Are you glad that there's no possibility you can meet them at the end of the year?
Well, I just first of all, I just hope we make the playoffs this year. But when you reach the the quarterfinals or semifinals or in any level, you're going to be playing a good football team. I'm glad we don't have to play them if we were to get that far, but whoever we're playing is probably going to be just as good. So our first goal is try to beat Mount Pleasant, first game of the year, and then we'll just go from there.
Coach, we've had a lot of talk of class changes on today's show. Do you see a big difference between 1A and 2A, or do you feel like these classifications are so close to enrollment, why is the competition won't really change a lot?
Well, I'm not real sure. I haven't really looked into the 2A playoff bracket very much. I did take a glance at it the other day with some of the other teams that have moved up. You're talking about Trousdale in 2A playoffs. They're always going to be well coached, and you got a lot of good athletes. I think Huntington moved up to 2A this year. Whatever the team was that played played Gordonsville last year for the 1A championship. No, the 2A championship. Who was in the 2A championship last year? Team out of West Tennessee. There's a lot of good teams in 2A. And
talking about Adamsville, Coach.
Was it Adamsville that it was?
Yeah, I believe it was.
And they're a quality team as well. So, to be honest with you, I haven't looked at it that much. I've been just kind of concentrating on us right now. And like I said, I just hope we get into playoffs this year. And so if we want to, if you want to get to the, some of the early round games may be a little tougher than what we've had to play the last couple of years. But if a team does make it to the quarterfinals or beyond, that when you get to that level right there, everybody's good. So I'd say it's going to be tougher. But like I said earlier, we got to beat Mount Pleasant first, and then we'll go from there.
We're talking to Coach Steve Carson for the Eagleville Eagles out of Rutherford County. Recently moved up to 2A ball this year. Coach, I know you lost some key players in Andrew Jernigan and Jordan Seiler, but you also have some returning players, Chris Hale and quarterback Ron Jordan, who really had a breakout season for you last year. How important has Ron been to your success after losing so many players off that 11-1 team in 2011? Second, who are some key players you will be dependent on to step up this season that maybe aren't in the headlines every day?
Well, we've got to replace all 4 of our receivers. Ryan threw for right at 2,100 yards last year and 24 touchdowns, only 3 interceptions. So he had a fine year last year. But he lost 2,000 almost. He lost 2,000 yards in receivers that all graduated. So we've got to find some guys there. We're really counting on some of our guys up front to step up for us this year. James Merritt and Alex Ware are both juniors. They started last year for us at right guard left guard and left tackle. And we're really counting on them for some leadership. Darryl Smith, our center, he'll be a 2-year starter. We need those guys to really come on and lead our football team right now. Chris Hale is back at tailback. Chris is a 4-year starter. Has been a really really good player for us over the years, and he's always been a good player for us. But we need his leadership now to step up on in the locker room and lead us here into the season. Receiver wise and secondary wise, it's wide open right now. We lost all those guys from last year, and Mason Vallis is going to step in and play a bigger role at receiver this year. He was one of our slot receivers last year. We're probably going to move him outside. A.J. Garza, sophomore, athletic kid that's our backup quarterback. He's going to have to make an impact at our XRZ this year, along with starting in the secondary. So we've got a lot of work to do. We got to play a lot of guys that haven't played a lot of football this year, and a lot of young guys. And so we've, we've got a lot to get done before we tee it up here in 2 weeks.
Coach, you guys, in addition to that tough district schedule, you've got some non-district opponents like Mount Pleasant and Watertown are perennial playoff teams, and of course you got Joe Burns. They were a beast in 1A ball for quite a while. How excited are you to match wits with a coach who I consider to be one of the top coaches at any level in Tom Atkins over at Joe Burns?
Well, I can't say that I'm looking forward to it. They were in our district, where was Regis when I first got this job in 08, and they went to state championship the game that year. And I thought, I really thought that he probably did as good a job as anybody that I'd ever coached against, anywhere I've ever been. And he just does an outstanding job. His kids always play hard. They're always fundamentally sound, and it's going to be a challenge. And I am looking forward to it. He does a super job. And I look at our schedule this year. It's probably the toughest schedule that we've played since I've been here. I don't know what it was like before I got here, but with Mount Pleasant, that they're going to be full of athletes. Watertown, this is supposed to be their year. And then Joe Burns. That's 3 of our 4 out of conference. I don't know very much about Chattanooga Grace, but those 3 teams right there out of conference are going along with what I consider to be a very balanced, tough District 9 this year. We've got our work cut out for.
Coach, the Eagleville game, by the way, here on the Duck, Eagleville and Joe Burns I'm talking about. I'll go ahead and warn you, Cedar Hill bunch is a pretty rowdy bunch.
What's that? Oh, yeah, they are. I wonder if they're going to back their trucks up. We played up there. They back their trucks up when we come on the field. And
you got to love it up there when they. That is awesome.
I enjoyed it.
Well, I've got some friends up there. I told them to bring those trucks down to Eagleville whenever they come.
Yeah, tell them to bring them on down.
Coach Carson, Josh Mulder here. District 9A saw a lot of changes with the reclassification this season. One being the absence of Cascade, who prior to 2011 had dominated the district for quite some time. You touched base on us about how you feel this is one of your toughest schedules that you've had in a while. Who do you feel out of that schedule will be the toughest obstacle for the Eagles this season?
In district.
In our district, I think it's got to be Moore County. They are. I talked to Scott last year, and I told him I thought he had the best team in the league, and he swore to me that this year was going to be his best team. And I believe it. They lost their quarterback and the Evans kid, and he was a good player, but he's got a lot of good players coming back. They play hard for him, and he's the odds-on favorite to be our district champs. But then I tell you, close behind now is Forest. They are they're always big, they're always physical. They hired Brian Coleman this year. He's a former player over there. He coached there for a while, and he'll get that pride back going over there, and he's got a lot of good coaches helping him. And so those are the 2 teams to beat in our league, I think. And then Federal City is kind of a wild card there. We don't know anything about them. I think they're probably going to be one of the most athletic teams in our district, but Coach Palmer's done a fine job everywhere he's coached, in the past. So I would say that those 3 teams are probably the 3 teams to beat in our league this year.
Well, Coach, we want to thank you for joining us this morning, and we wish you luck on a big season.
Hey, I appreciate you guys including us in your show, and I just thank you so much.
We hope we can talk to you each week.
Yes, sir.
Coach, good luck.
Have a good day.
All right.
Steve Carson.
Hey,
Coach. He's really turned that program around.
He has. And, man, to come from where he came from last year, Mike Mulder, I mean, he could have mailed into season.
He's got that shadowing background. He coached under Coach Shadowing over at Blackman when he was at Smyrna, so he knows what he's doing over there.
And we talked about Coach Olive.